Welcome to the sports segment here on AM Show. I'm Benedict Osu in the studio with my colleague Serwin Saki. Together we'll take you through the sports, and today we'll talk about Thierry Henry. He's been sacked as manager of Monaco, string of poor results, and also other issues. And Eden Hazard is in the news. Well, he granted an interview with Serwin will tell us a bit more about, but his manager, Sarri, has also publicly been criticizing the player. We'll see if it is right, as well as some FA Cup games to expect this weekend. No English Premier League games this weekend, by English FA Cup, which will start tonight with the top liner, of course, between Manchester United and Arsenal. Chelsea played yesterday, so I will tell you about what happened also yesterday when Chelsea took on Tottenham Hotspur. But we start here on the local scene with Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and their CEO George Amoako has not been enthused with the work of the Ghana Football Association Normalization Committee so far. Now, according to him, the four-member committee headed by Dr. Kofi Amoa have been slow in putting measures in place to restore Ghana football to normalcy. He foresees a possible extension of their mandate.
I think they've been a bit slow, but they know why they've been a bit slow. But they need to back up a bit if they want to meet the deadline of March ending. The way I see things on the ground, what ought to be done and what has been done, I presume that they cannot finish by March ending. It's not possible.
So a possible extension for them will be okay.
That is the obvious thing I suspect will happen.
So we have to move on and do some more. Thierry Henry has been suspended by Monaco, with the French club set to replace him as coach. But the man he replaced, that's Leonardo Jardim. Henry has endured a miserable 4 months in charge, winning only 4 of his 20 games, with Monaco remaining in the relegation zone in 19th place in Ligue 1. As Diakon has more in the following report.
Henry has come under increasing pressure at the Ligue 1 side, with results not improving since he took over from Leonardo Jardim in October in his first managerial role. The club is in the midst of a 4-game winless streak and have not won in 5 in the league, leaving them 19th in the league table and 3 points from safety. This week featured a pair of disastrous results for Henry and Monaco, with the club getting routed at home 5-1 against Strasbourg on January 19. Aside from the heavy defeat, Henry came under fire for comments made towards Strasbourg left-back Kenilala as the manager insulted the defender's grandmother. While Henry apologized, a 3-1 home defeat to second division side Metz in the Coupe de France on Tuesday inflicted further humiliation on his side. Henry then threatened on Thursday to leave out numerous first-team players for Monaco's weekend clash with Lyon, claiming he would only pick players up for the relegation fights. Henry had previously said he was more worried about Monaco's future and facing relegation than his own. Overall, the former Belgium assistant coach has managed only 5 wins in 20 games in charge of Monaco and may not receive any further opportunities to improve on that number.
All right, so that was my colleague Asari Bidiako's report. At the point when Thierry Henry was appointed after what he did with the Belgian team, of course, we are all very excited. And so when you say that was a good, perfect opportunity for him to have gone to where he started his football career, and then things didn't turn out as we all expected.
Very disappointing. A fairy tale job for Thierry Henry, but then he hasn't been able to execute what's been expected of him. You'll find a manager like him going to the club that he started his career in to be very successful. We saw Pep Guardiola do it with Barcelona. Why not Thierry Henry, who is a student of Pep Guardiola? So at the moment, with Monaco at 19th position, not being able to get results even in the French Cup, it's quite a shame for him not to be even get the best out of the players who even see him as their idol. Problems coming in from the camp saying that he is having problems with some of the main players at the team, which shouldn't be so, because you know Thierry Henry and how he is. A lot of players love him and they admire him. For him to be having a row with his main players, that's why the board is seeing that maybe Thierry Henry is not fit for the job at the moment.
And that's very worrying. I mean, with a player of his caliber, if it's not just about results on the pitch and you're getting sacked for what you are doing behind the scenes with your players, it's very worrying for someone like Thierry Henry.
Well, yeah, I think Henry tried to pose a strict discipline into the team, which went out in a different way. I remember one of his press conferences where he did with his player, and then after the press conference, his player got up without dragging the seat back in its position, and he gave him a very means there to the player, and then he quickly knew what he had to do, and he drew that shows a bit of discipline he was trying to bring in the team. But then the communication didn't go over the players, and maybe the players fell out with him, and then Henry has to leave.
All right, so Thierry Henry is a gunner. We'll see how things will go for him in terms of his coaching career.
Definitely, and we are going to start with Bristol City. We'll be playing with Bolton earlier today. Then Manchester United will also go to the Emirates to play against Arsenal. Accrington Stanley versus Derby. We can also see games of Manchester City versus Burnley. Middlesbrough will be playing against Newport. Newcastle versus Watford. Also, we have games from Everton versus Millwall. AFC Wimbledon will be playing against West Ham. Crystal Palace versus Tottenham Hotspur. And Chelsea will be playing against Sheffield Wednesday.
All right, okay, so those are matches to expect this weekend in the English FA Cup. The Spanish La Liga as well as the Italian Serie A. We'll talk about those fixtures pretty shortly, but there's something we have to look at. Well, 2 days ago was the first second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup, which Manchester City went away and won by a goal to 0 to complete a 10-0 aggregate. So Man City in a pole position to defend the title they won last season. I'm talking about the Carabao Cup, and the team they are going to play in the finals is Chelsea. So Chelsea in their first game away lost by a goal to 0, and yesterday at Stamford Bridge they won in regulation time by 2-1, and by virtue of that goal they conceded away, they had to play penalties, and Chelsea went through 3-1 on penalties. But Eden Hazard, who scored one of the goals recently, his manager Mauricio Sarri has not been very impressed in terms of his public outcry or his public comments about his future. Sarri yesterday, if you monitored the show, hit hard at Eden Hazard, and after yesterday's game, so what did Hazard say?
Well, after Mauricio Sarri openly spoke about Hazard's leadership skills in the club. He knows that Hazard is a very good player, very quality player, but then he spoke about the fact that he's not a leader that should be leading the club. And Hazard replied by saying that he doesn't care about what the manager says. All he wants to do himself is to get better and also help the team to achieve its goals. But for himself, listen to what the manager says. He's not going to think about that. All he wants to do is deliver on the pitch.
And is it not something Chelsea fans should be worried about? The manager comes out to criticize the player, and the player now says he doesn't care.
Well, yeah, it's a very worrying factor considering the fact that Hazard has also spoken about his interest in moving to Real Madrid. He's saying that's not a question anybody should ask him. They know what he wants to do. So the fact that Mauricio Sarri comes into the public to criticize him and say he's not a leader, I think Hazard will want to move away and prove to him that he's a leader.
All right, okay, so now we have to move on and briefly talk about the Spanish La Liga, because the team that Eden Hazard obviously wants to play is Real Madrid. This weekend they are in action, as well as Barcelona and then the Italian Serie A. So please take us through what you expect this weekend in both leagues. Okay, so Sevilla will be playing against Levante in the Spanish La Liga. Atletico Madrid versus Getafe. Leganes also will be playing against Eibar. Valencia versus Villarreal. Real Valladolid versus Celta Vigo. Girona versus Barcelona. Then we also play Atletico Bilbao versus Real Betis. Valladolid versus Celta Vigo. Then Girona also be playing against Barcelona. Atletico Bilbao versus Real Betis. Sociedad versus Huesca. Espanyol, Real Madrid, and Alaves, Rayo Vallecano. Then in the Italian Serie A, we go to Sassuolo versus Cagliari, which will be on Saturday. Sampdoria versus Udinese. Then AC Milan will be going head-to-head with Napoli. Chievo Verona versus Fiorentina. Atalanta will be playing against Roma. Bologna also be hosting Frosinone. Parma versus Spal. Then we also have Torino versus Inter Milan, Lazio versus Juventus. Then on Monday, Empoli versus Genoa. All right, thank you very much. And this weekend we'll definitely we'll finish the Australian Open, so we'll know the winner in the women's division, and of course Osaka in a very poor position to win another Grand Slam. And for the men's division, Rafael Nadal is already through to the finals, and he is expected to play the winner of that big what's going to happen this morning. Okay, so exactly 8:30, that's where we'll see if Novak Djokovic will be able to make the final and meet Rafael Nadal. We'll definitely bring you more in terms of updates when you join us at 2 on Sports Today with Nathaniel Atto. I'm Benedict Tusu. Thanks so much to Selwyn Saki. Enjoy the rest of the program after this short break.